This is Michael Popok. You've made it to the new Legal AF YouTube channel. You're here, Legal AF MTN with the Midas Touch Network. Free subscribe and help us get to 250,000 before the end of October. There are laws hiding in plain sight that can be both used by a dictator and to prevent a dictatorship in America. That's why I need to know as a practicing lawyer, especially with Donald Trump hanging around the White House, things like the Posse Comitatus Act, the martial law, writs of habeas corpus, the Alien Enemies Act, and the rest. Why? Because they're either going to be used by Donald Trump, he's already threatening to use them against his political enemies. That means you, U.S. voter. That means you, American citizen. Or we're going to have to use it against him to prevent a dictatorship. Donald Trump uses frequently the language, including this week, including today, of Viktor Orban, of Modi of India, Viktor Orban of Hungary, Putin of Russia, Xi of China, except he's an American president, or was an American president, and he's running for one again. He just made a statement on Fox News, or to Fox whatever, to Maria Bartiromo, that the enemy within, meaning Americans, American citizens, and if people didn't understand his meaning, he used an example of a current American elected official. He said the enemies within are more insidious and more nasty than those outside. And if he gets back into power, he wants the U.S. federal troops under the commander-in-chief function and or the National Guard to suppress dissent and to deal with, quote, the enemy from within. He just violated the Posse Comitatus Act. The Posse Comitatus Act, which was passed after our Reconstruction period, after the reunification of America following the Civil War. We needed the Posse Comitatus Act so that the South knew that the federal government was not going to use federal troops against Americans on American soil for civil disobedience and to enforce Jim Crow laws in the South. That's why we have the Posse Comitatus Act on the books. It is, for those that are playing at home, it's 18 USC 1385 in the code book. And what it says fundamentally is no president, no Congress can order that the U.S. military turn around and turn its weapons towards American civilians unless there's an act of Congress. It respects the separation of powers between Congress and the president during wartime, war powers. Donald Trump's already acting like he's going to be not a wartime consigliere, a war president. He has said in the last 72 hours that we are under a siege and an attack from an enemy from within. He doesn't distinguish between citizens, those that are here legally and those that are here illegally. To him, they're all the same. In fact, when he gave the quote about the nasty enemy within, he said, I think the bigger problem is the enemy within, not the migrants that are attacking this country, in his view, at the border or other places. And he used as an example Adam Schiff, the former congressperson from California who's running for the Senate. And he said Adam Schiff is an example. Now, he hates Adam Schiff and has had an axe to grind and apparently wants to grind it against Adam Schiff's neck or back because Adam Schiff was at the forefront of the Russia collusion investigation and, of course, during Jan 6th. And even Mark Milley stood up to Donald Trump as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You know that guy that Donald Trump wants to hang now for treason? Mark Milley. Mark Milley, the guy that Donald Trump used a purloined top secret classified war document to show to somebody without classification because he wanted to try to pay back Mark Milley for an interview he gave to New Yorker magazine. That Mark Milley made it clear that while he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, he would never allow a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. He would never allow his troops, as the one under the commander-in-chief, to be used on American soil. But Donald Trump wants it. He said in that interview with Maria Bartiromo that enemy within have to be dealt with, including on Election Day. Crushing dissent on Election Day. Consistent with what Jeffrey Clark, his acting attorney general, in the waning days of the Trump administration, said in response to somebody's query, which was, if Donald Trump doesn't peacefully transfer to the winner, who's been certified, Joe Biden, there's going to be rioting in the streets. To which, almost reflexively, in a split second, Jeff Clark, in a callous and chilling moment, said, that's what the Insurrection Act is for. That's an act in the book that allows, at time of war or time of insurrection within the country, the president as commander-in-chief to suspend writs of habeas corpus, your ability to get out of jail, a secret jail without due process, and petition the court for release. He suspends that. He uses martial law and the Insurrection Act to crush dissent by Americans. We're talking about Donald Trump threatening to use the military against fellow Americans. That's not an enemy. That's not an enemy. We're not under an enemy invasion. We've got an overrun immigration issue, which 4 separate administrations, Republican and Democrat, have ignored, allowing 11 million people to be in this country without proper status. They're not all killers. They're not all criminals. In fact, the statistics show that by and large, they are more law-abiding than native-born Americans. They commit less crime, not more. They pay their taxes. They work hard. They send their kids to school. And he's going to get rid of them all and put them in internment camps. And along with them, those Americans, real Americans, ones that have, blue passports, he's going to put them in internment camps too, because they're the enemy from within. To hear a guy running for the presidency to saying there is a war going on, I'm going to use war power, martial law, I'm going to suspend or rewrite the Constitution to stay in power, to enhance my power. I mean, I keep reporting on this. I'm hoping it sinks in, and I'm not, as one of my friends said recently, screaming into the void. I don't think so. Not on this channel, not with our community, not with something that you've helped me build, and not on Midas Touch. So when you hear Donald Trump say enemy within and then point to an example as a former congressperson running for Senate who's obviously an American citizen, then you have to worry. Thank God we've got the Posse Comitatus Act. I'd like to watch the United States Supreme Court, MAGA, squirm away from an act that's been on the books since the 1870s. Go ahead, I'd like to see you. But Donald Trump, if he got back into power, could declare martial law on the 20th of January and put down, like Tiananmen Square, U.S. style, with American troops, apparently, he thinks he can command. And who's he going to have around him to tell him no? Who's going to speak truth to power in Donald Trump's administration? The hand-picked members of his cabinet by Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society or the Heritage Foundation? MAGA, all these people that are helping Donald Trump on Wall Street and World Wrestling Federation, we're doing our civic duty to help Donald Trump he's going to be the best president. Well, you may be the first person that he puts in the internment camp, right? It's not just going to be me. I'm not going to be by myself. And this doesn't scare the crap out of people, especially people that come from historically prejudiced, historically smeared ethnic and religious groups, right? I don't know how Jews can support Donald Trump when he starts talking about using the U.S. troops against other Americans and putting them in internment camps. He has a guy running around called the Minister of Retribution, a former lieutenant colonel in the Army who worked in PSYOPs, psychological operations and warfare and intelligence. And Donald Trump doesn't denounce him, doesn't disclaim him. Stand back and stand by you. I love you. And this is fine with everybody? Not fine with me. It's not fine with me. It's one of the reasons we helped found this channel, Legal AF, MTN. Donald Trump threatened already once to suspend the Constitution, declare martial law, put troops on the street. And using the Alien Enemies Act, which he just recently found, apparently. Somebody's been feeding him that. I'm looking at you, Stephen Miller. I'm looking at you, Jeff Clark. Somebody fed Donald Trump his spoon-fed version of the Constitution and of laws during that era. Said, yeah, the Alien Enemies Act, that's good. Because if there's an invasion, right, or a predatory incursion into America, you can use the war powers. What's the enemy incursion? What, the 11 million that have been hiding in plain sight, working jobs, and many of them paying taxes? That's the enemy incursion? You're going to solve that problem of too many lawful, legal, hardworking Haitians in Springfield, Ohio? You're going to deport them to Venezuela because you don't understand geography either? I don't really get it. But I do get Donald Trump. And who's going to be the firewall around Donald Trump? The sycophants, the bootlickers, the toadies they're going to come into office with? As I said, handpicked by Leonard Leo, handpicked by the Federalist Society, by the Heritage Foundation, by those who've been out of power forming a shadow government. Steve Bannon is going to start telling him not to do certain things, or is he going to enable his worst instincts? He's going to put generals there that he can. I mean, generals are going to have to save us at this rate. Because who is he going to put? Head of the CIA, Kash Patel, I read recently. Kash Patel is a former public defender, never been in the intelligence community a day in his life, except he's a tremendous loyalist for Donald Trump. Who else? Right? Who's going to head his FBI? So we're going to have an FBI agent under every bed in America, looking at our private affairs. That's what's going to happen. I got to call it out, and I'm glad I have an outlet for it. And I'm glad you're here to join me for it. Legal AF MTN. We have so much to talk about at the intersection of law and politics. We wanted to spread our wings, get our own channel, and Midas Brothers and me got together and said, yeah, let's do it. Legal AF MTN, an overnight sensation with over 200,000 subscribers in less than 30 days. Well, we're an overnight sensation 4.5 years in the making on the Legal AF side. And I curate it. I'm glad you're here. So until my next hot take, until my next exclusive content right here on this YouTube channel, this is Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.